Hi everyone, so I'm coming at you without makeup again because today what I want to make is a so-called palette bingo, and I also want to talk a little bit about the book that I have been reading the last few weeks. So in a palette bingo you have some software like this software, some website. Pick random shades from a palette and you have to make a look with those shades. In this case, it's going to be the Ace Beauté by Paradise Fallen. This was recently reformulated, but this is the old version of the formula, which is not great. And I haven't been wearing this palette a lot. It doesn't have any horrible shades aside from this one, Night Sky. It's quite bad, so I think this one I'm not going to include in the list of things that it can pick because I don't want to make a look with that one, so I'm not going to include it. But I'm basically just going to list out the different names here, and it's gonna pick random ones. So I have the name of all of them here, and then I'm gonna just press pick a random item, and oh my god, I don't know how to fucking show you this. And so I'm just gonna press pick a random item, and let's see, I think I'll just do 2 or 3 shades. Which is the first one? Twilight? Was it that one? That was the last one that was shown. Let me see. Oh, I see, it's here. Shadow. And Shadow is the navy, sort of dark. And this one is Orion. So that would make a pretty cool one, I think, but let's see if I can use a third one maybe, and the other one is Moonglow. So yeah, I think I could make a look with those 3. Moonglow. Let me just look a 4th one just to see. Stone. So it's Stone, Shadow, Orion, and Moonglow, which is this one. I guess I can do something with that. So I'm gonna start off with eye primer, of course. That's what you can always expect me to start off with. Now, because of the way these shades are, the formula is, I won't set the eye primer, I will just put them on directly after the primer. With formulas such as the ABH Mono Renaissance, I would set the primer because they're really pigmented. But yeah, this formula is not the best. I would buy the reformulated version if I wore this one a little bit more and I wore this kind of shades more often, I probably would buy a reformulated one. Because the only problem with this one is the formula, because the shadow and the colors themselves, the shades and the color story itself is actually really beautiful. That's actually what people tend to say about this brand a lot, that the color stories are beautiful, but the quality was lacking until they reformulated. I'm not sure which one to start with. Now that I notice, Stone is a little bit dark to start off with, but that's the lightest out of the mattes. So I think I might just put it directly here on the outer corner. It doesn't look that bad on camera, but on this mirror and in person you can kind of tell that it's really not. It's a little patchy, and when I add more, it doesn't really build on itself. I think I might leave the Stone shade there for now. I'm not sure what I'll do with the Shadow shade because that one is also darker, a darker shade, so I think I might use it as liner or something. I wish it was more common for brands to come out with dark or rather gray shades like this one, very cool tone stuff like this. It became kind of trendy for a little while, like with the ColourPop shadow show or whatever that was called, Shadow Smoke, something like that. But then it kind of fell off immediately, and there weren't that many palettes that were made of that trend, I feel. So there's not that many gray palettes in the market. There was the Venus Immortalis by Lime Crime, which I still don't understand, like whether what's her name, Dodie, or whether she's still getting profit of that brand, because I know she stepped down as the CEO, but I wouldn't like to buy from that company knowing that she still profits even if she's not the CEO anymore. So I think that's what I'm gonna leave it with, a shadow or rather a stone. Let's see. I think I'll just do the obvious and add Orion. So Orion here. Just add it on with my finger on sort of the mid part of the eyelid. I was supposed to talk about Geek Lore, right? I completely forgot about that. So I'm halfway through that book, and it's definitely sort of, I found it through one of those lists on Goodreads about the most disturbing books of all time or something like that. It's definitely one of those books where nobody is the hero of the story and nobody is the villain either. But at the same time, you know, those books, I think sometimes get criticism, and I think it's fair, valid criticism. Sometimes they get criticized for having all of the characters be equally horrible, so like you can't really root for anyone, and you don't really care for anyone surviving. And the thing is, you know, you can make characters unlikable or really evil or whatever, but you kind of have to make the reader care about them living or dying enough for them to keep reading. And I think a lot of authors who are that sort of type of like writing disturbing books and books with anti-heroes and stuff like that, sometimes they let that go a little bit, like they don't really care and they just make characters who are evil for the sake of like being subversive or whatever. And I don't think Geek Love is a lot like that in terms of the characters at least, but it is a little bit gross out. Like I think it does that thing where it kind of wants to gross you out for the sake of shock humor, for the sake of the shock value, right? And I don't know, I don't appreciate that too much. But at the same time, I think it's really balanced in that moral sense in which the main character, for example, I think she's fairly likable even though she's not exactly a good person. And the parents are really, really... Well, I haven't told you yet what the book is even about. So it's about this family of circus people, basically, like circus freaks. And their parents basically made them freaks deliberately. Like when she was pregnant, they started experimenting with drugs or whatever to make sure that their children would be deformed and all these things. And they did come out deformed, but in different ways. Like some of them are more weird looking than others and all these things. And the siblings start to develop this sort of sibling rivalry because some of them are weirder than others. And to them to be weird is a good thing. So the more deformed you are, the kind of like more interesting you are and the more valuable you are economically, right, to the family. And needless to say, the parents are not good characters, like good as in good people characters, right? They're obviously horrible, but I think it's not too shock value-y in that aspect, at least, because they said to themselves, well, why don't we make our children people who can make a living off of just being who they are and looking the way they look? Which obviously is not a good excuse or a justification for anything, but it doesn't seem like they were having deformed children for the sake of sadism or, you know, because they like to see them suffer or anything, you know. That's the kind of... I think that's the line, right? Like the line that I find with other types of books in that disturbing vein is that sometimes characters are just really sadistic and are doing things for the sake of torturing others. And I don't know, aside from being kind of harder to read, it's also just not a very complex character making. Like a person who is simply sadistic is very simple-minded, don't you think? Like their goals, their personality, everything is pretty obvious and just kind of very one-dimensional, I would imagine anyway. And in my experience, that's kind of the case when it comes to writing characters or reading people's sadistic characters. I can't help comparing it with American Psycho, which is the book that I had DNF'd a while ago and which caused a reading slump because I felt like the author just kind of kept re-establishing the character over and over, and nothing was really going on because the character, the narrator, who is also main character, just kind of kept saying the same thing over and over. Not the same thing, but there was nothing really new to say. I think I'm about a quarter or a third of the way through American Psycho when I stopped reading, and I just didn't find it interesting anymore. I felt like it didn't really have anything to say after a little while, and there wasn't really much of a story to it, which is why I presume, I haven't watched the movie, but I assume that the movie is actually better in that respect because it manages to be more interesting in different ways, and that's why people like it in comparison to the book, which, I mean, there's a few interesting things there, at least in terms of writing style, but I don't think it really makes it worth it to read it. It becomes a little bit boring after a while. So what else? We have Shadow. Okay, yeah, Shadow, that was it that I was going to use right now. I think I'm just gonna essentially try and use it as liner. And yeah, Geek Love is, I'm more hopeful for that book. I'm not sure if you have noticed, but I've had a pretty terrible year in terms of reading, not just because I haven't read that much, but also because the books that I have read this year have been pretty disappointing to me, which is why I made that video early on this year where I talked about, like, is there something wrong with me, or just maybe the books that I have read this year just happen to not have been that good. Because I was starting to doubt myself. I'm like, maybe I'm just becoming too harsh with books. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just looking for things to dislike. But I find that I do always find something to enjoy, or at least something positive to say about most of the books that I have read. So I don't know, I don't think I'm too negative. But maybe I do ask for a lot. But at the same time, I think it's fine to be I think it's fine to be a little too harsh on things like media, products, things like that. Things that don't, it's not like we're directly talking about a person and, ripping them apart in terms of like all aspects of them and their personality, right? It's a book. It's kind of uneven here. The line that I made here is a bit thicker than here, but let me see if I can fix that by adding a little bit more Orion there. Yeah. Oh my god. What's going on? My eyes look weird. Maybe it's just me, but it looks like my eye here is really closed and this one is really open. I mean, I've always known my eyes are a little uneven in terms of one opening a little bit more than the other, but I hadn't noticed. I feel like right now it's looking a bit more extreme than usual. Usually when I wear makeup, that becomes a bit less obvious. Anyways, I don't want to think about that one too much. So let's just get on to the next thing. Moon Glow, which is the last shade that I was supposed to use. I'm just gonna pop that here on the inner corner. Oh my god, I fucking put it where I should have. Truthfully, that doesn't look that great. But whatever. I always get the urge to tightline, but it kind of freaks me out a little bit at the same time. See, that's kind of freaky. What do you guys think? Anyways, I don't think I will put on eyeliner because it kind of looks heavy already. I'm just gonna do my brows and everything else. And I kind of wanna like clean up a little bit here with just beige shadow. So yeah, Geek Love is a book that I'm pretty hopeful for in this terrible book year. For me, I will make a best and worst books I read in 2021. I'm not sure how many I will have for best because I've only read I think I've read less than 20 books this year, and most of them have been 1 to, well, 2 or 3 stars. I haven't had many 1 stars. I think I only had maybe 2 1 stars this year. But yeah, mostly it's been below average. In terms of the ratings that I've given books this year. But yeah. My eyes still look weird to me, but maybe it's the kind of thing that only I notice. See that? I think you can see it. This eyelid droops lower. You know what? I think I might indulge since, it's a special occasion. It's really not a special occasion, but I figured that maybe I would indulge and use one of these stickers. What are they called? Jewel for Eyes from J-Lash, and they're just stickers you put near your eyes or whatever. You're supposed to remove them with tweezers, but I have something better. My fingertips. Oh look, that's so cute. Let me get a little star as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be filming another one right now, hopefully, and I'll see you in the next one.